The intruder must not escape. The humanoid must not escape. Got the humanoid, got the intruder.
So did you hear the new Dragon Age is woke? They got gays in it.
No.
They've always had gays in it.
I know. Some of the characters that are gay in the new one were gay in the old ones.
You mean they're still gay?
Yeah.
Man,
Sounds pretty controversial.
No, there was like a YouTuber who got a preview of Dragon Age, or like a pre-release copy.
Cockroach guy?
No, not Asmongold. He's reformed. He's reformed now.
Yeah,
He
he's
cleaned his room.
reformed.
He cleaned his room.
Cleaned his house.
Um,
He's cleaning every
Clean out
part of
his
his
soul.
house.
Yeah.
Yes.
But-
Literally getting dead spiders and cobwebs out of his musty, dark soul. No pun intended.
No, but there was like a YouTuber who got like a pre-release copy, and the NDA dropped this morning. That's when all the reviews came out.
Right.
And they opened up on their YouTube video talking about it by going,
Mm-mm. Of course.
everyone's gay.
Yeah, I can
No.
I can picture the thumbnail as,
They broke NDA.
as we speak.
Oh, because
Well, did they sign an NDA?
Yes.
Oh.
I still don't
You have
understand
to sign an NDA to
NDAs.
get a pre-release copy.
Oh, right. Okay.
But
Didn't-
they broke it because the people got
That's
to
a
know
street-
Yeah.
that the wokes got
That's-
Dragon Age.
They
Yeah.
really violated
Cancel.
a contractual agreement just to.
Yeah.
That really upset the dog.
Yeah.
So here's what I don't get about a lot of these like RPGs, right?
Yeah.
You make your own like character. Like it's like you don't just if you don't want to be gay, just don't be gay.
Well, no, it's because you're forced to interact with the gays.
Randy,
Like-
You can choose to walk away from a gay in person.
Randy, haven't you gotten the fact that everyone else has the freedom to do what they want? That steps on our freedom.
Yeah.
Okay.
God,
Okay.
I hate everything.
Yeah. Don't tread on me, bro,
Yeah.
Yeah.
with your gayness.
Those are
I
like
want more poly options.
No,
in
I
games.
think I didn't watch.
Represent.
I didn't watch the clip because I planned to play Dragon Age. So
Mhm.
spoilers. But like
Sure, you're gay enough to handle
from what I, yeah, from what I understand, it was like it's like a character. It's like it's an RPG, right? So it's like there are gay characters in the game, and if you play as somebody of the same sex and they're gay, they will flirt with you. The dialogue is written
Sure.
for them to flirt with you, and then they're just like, a man is flirting with me as a man? How dare they?
we are really
Yeah,
regressing.
haven't they been
as-
haven't they played Fallout or
Every,
recently-
every RPG ever made
Yeah.
ever that has dialogue trees. Yes.
Most
Or-
recently, it was pronouns.
Fuck
Now
whoever
we're
you want.
going back and we're attacking the gays now. And then what are we going to do after that?
I saw it was trending recently that somebody was complaining about the new Venom movie being woke because on the poster it says "Till death do they part" because it's talking about two fucking characters,
Yeah.
but they thought it was the movie trying to be.
What, they
like,
want to make out? Is the symbiote going to tongue kiss
Is it
Tom
gay?
Hardy?
Is it gay if you have sex with a symbiote?
Yeah.
How does the
Yeah.
symbiote gender work?
I don't.
This
Do
may
they
be going too far, but I think it's more of a problem that the symbiote is black.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have they ever played The Sims? Any of them? Where it's just like, hey, if
Yeah.
you get close enough to any sim, it's like you can fall in love with them.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. I mean,
No,
we all know
they
that.
don't-
Even
they don't-
Drew Carey and the pizza guy and
They don't do that. Taking on the Sims is like attacking
Yeah.
the most fortified base in history.
Yeah.
If you're the woke police and you take on the Sims, you better be ready to die for your cause.
'Cause that's a lot
Because
of...
LGBTQ
Yeah,
people
yeah.
will defend
They
the
will.
Sims to the death.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I wasn't able to get this in, but don't tread on me, especially not with silver spray painted boots.
Yeah.
Tread on me, daddy. And no, it's no shade at throwing a Drew Carey either. I love that he's in that house party game when you throw. A good
I love
party.
it. I know.
And you throw a bad party, the sad clown.
I was
comes.
actually partially thinking, and this is a reference to our Halloween party, I dressed as a sim.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, I should have dressed as Drew Carey and showed up here and showed up here because Drew Carey
Really
shows
great.
up when your party is fucking lit.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's
still
just
trying to get him to show up here for our parties. I feel like
Yeah?
we're getting closer and closer each year.
Of course, yeah. he keeps sending letters back. Please stop contacting me.
He's chained up in the back of the Price is Right studio.
Yeah. And we have returned with another hot button Halloween special. Don't worry, it's a shorter one this time. So typically in these episodes, we tend to cover really scary or disturbing titles, but today we're going to travel all the way back to the 1980s and tackle something that may look seemingly innocent on the surface, and yet underneath lay a sinister story that few enthusiasts are probably aware of. The first instance of a video game taking a human life, and the first instance of a video game playing a role in a murder. I say first because there are indeed many, but still pretty spooky, right? And not to make a mockery of tragedy, though this is truly a strange tale. That and our subject has still left quite the legacy in other ways too. However, it's important to remember those lost, to tell the truth and squash the rumors, and to also call attention to the adverse health effects this art form can have on a person. For every celebration that our favorite medium is able to provide, it comes with harsh consequences as well. I'm Randall Beatrice, here with Austin Blakesley.
Ooh.
Matt Nudaboom.
Zug Zug.
And Sean Chambers.
I'm dead.
Who's ready to follow me into the arcade and talk about Berzerk?
The anime?
Not to be confused with the hit manga or television series from Japan.
I was lured here on false premises.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about Guts. I've never read Berserk. So
Do
that would be
you
bad.
have it guts?
Yeah, that was about Berserk. That was about
Yeah.
Berserk. Yeah.
do you have it gaze?
So as I said, Berzerk is an arcade release. It's described as a maze-focused action shooter. I think I showed you guys like a clip there. It was designed and programmed exclusively by a man named Alan McNeil while employed at Stern Electronics in Chicago, a hot spot for studios to set up shop during the coin-op craze.
WNBC. Sorry, it's just
Still
really funny.
suspecting
Stern
it.
Electronics.
and this was also in an era when a single individual could be solely responsible for the entire development of a video game.
Well, it
Like,
still
can you
happens.
imagine?
Actually, a
In
lot
the
of great
in indie,
games.
yeah, I guess there's still some collaborations, but it's wild that
Trust
like a
me.
big industry. Like
This
just-
one
it's-
looks like it is.
It's just a lot more work now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was his third project of 6. Previously, there was Nova, a spaceflight sim for terminal computers. This was in 1974. Then came Boot Hill with a collaboration with Midway in 1977, top-down shooting game. Post Berzerk, which is what put him on the map, led to 1982's Frenzy, a sequel. It was actually so popular that it got ported to the ColecoVision. After was Maze Wars Plus 4 years later, an action shooter for the Mac. He loved shooters. And lastly, in 94, it was Wacky Jacks, an educational puzzle trivia title. Shaking it up.
Pivoting.
Yeah. Trivia, huh? It's actually what got turned into You Don't Know Jack. You don't
Oh
know
my god,
Jacks.
I know, that would be funny.
It was called Wacky Jacks.
Wacky Jacks.
That's weird that it's like, you
Yeah.
know Jack goes like, what, 98? It's right around that. Mhm.
It's crazy
How dare
how-
you accuse Cookie of such
Yeah,
thievery.
plagiarism.
Yeah.
It's crazy how prevalent mazes were in video games back then.
Yeah.
You don't see them much anymore.
This
That is
was
true.
this
Yeah.
was pre Pac-Man by like the year or same year.
Mm.
Yeah. Actually.
Yeah.
Um,
Real quick though,
yeah.
Boot Hill. Okay,
Yeah.
I think I've heard that one. I think is that a top-down one or is that? I think isn't that the one where it's like the scenery is overlaid on top of the monitor? It's like an old west thing.
Yes.
And the scenery is laid over.
Wow,
I think it's.
I
I think
didn't-
it,
you
I think
knew
it's
that.
like,
I was
yeah,
like, okay.
I do know, and it's like I think it's not top down. I think it's a side thing where it's like you have to shoot over like a wagon to like hit the other guy or something like that. I can't remember.
Now, the middle 3 of those were for arcades, while Berzerk and Frenzy were under the aforementioned Stern Electronics. They were founded in 77 and formed as a result of combining both their software and pinball divisions until they rebrand as a branch of Data East in 1986. That's like, Burger Time
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I don't wish to get too caught up in the weeds here with their history. To be frank, it's fairly unremarkable.
They made arcade games and they didn't.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
essentially.
Yeah.
That's basically it. This was prior to Berzerk. Aside from Flight 2000, more on that in a sec, and assisting with distribution of Konami's Astro Invader, their early work saw little fanfare in such a competitive space. Remember, this is right in the midst of Pong, Space Invaders, and Pac-Man, and those were fucking sensation. It was a weak start for the family-based company. Luckily, their side hustle with manufacturing solid-state semiconductors and acquiring assets from the bankrupt Chicago Coin Group, as well as a supplier of jukeboxes with the Seaberg Corporation, this kept them afloat.
That is such an early game developer story where it's just like, what did they do? They made arcade cabinets and they developed silicon semiconductors on the side. It's just like, That's just what happened.
That's where the real money
That's
is.
where, yeah, 'cause, like, what do you call it? Fairchild Semiconductor made the Fairchild Channel F. It's just one of those things where it's like,
First
well,
cartridge-based console ever
yeah,
made, right?
exactly. It's just like it was like this is when software and hardware were like just like if you knew the hardware, you could make the software for it too.
It was a fun time.
What do you do? Oh, our company solely makes semiconductors.
Yeah. And
How
then
much is it worth? 400 million in 1977.
And
you
the
want to
Ju-
try? You want to try your hands at a video game?
Yeah.
I like that. It's like that meme where the guy at the assembly line, and he's
Oh,
like,
I
"Oh,
guess we're making-
I guess we're making this now." And I posted the one for Yamaha, and he's like, "Oh, I guess we're making jet skis now. Oh, I guess we're making pianos now." And then the last one it's just a container ship.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just like, I
like,
hate this
yeah.
fucking company.
I remember, like, it wasn't even until, like, I didn't put those pieces together until I was working at Guitar Center, because I was like, well, clearly the Yamaha that makes motorcycles and the Yamaha that makes instruments are two different. Like, nope. All right.
A factory's a
Tomahawk
factory,
missiles.
okay?
Yeah.
yeah.
So in steps Berzerk. Upon witnessing the boom of arcades, Stern gave permission to allow McNeil to lead his own project. He knew from the beginning that it was going to involve robots, as it harkened back to his college days when he adapted his own version of a basic title with the same name that he saw in an issue of Byte magazine. That's Byte, B-Y-T-E.
Yeah.
This was
Nerds are so lame.
and this was to his Soul 20 personal computer.
Especially old school nerds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's the amount of puns or like.
Oh God.
I mean, but they were having fun.
Yeah.
A lot of coke in that time.
Man, when you're an engineer, you hear even more of it. All of like,
oh God, how many were there on the Valve episode that Andrew hosted? It was like every
I don't
fucking
know,
thing.
20 of them or something.
Yeah.
dude, it's like you suddenly learn, like when you learn about like when you're actually like learning computer science, it's just like you learn what like what is it, like a backronym is, and then like God, I can't remember what the names are, but it's like all these, you can use an acronym as almost like a pun in a wordplay game in itself, and nerds love that stuff. It's just like,
oh, that's how I learned what wine.
Yeah, there you go. Wine
Yeah.
is not that is it. Okay, that is yes.
Yeah,
that
Andrew
is
talked about that.
Yes, it is like-
recursive acronym or something like that.
yeah. Oh, a recursive acronym. Yes,
Yeah.
and it's just like, dude, nerds. When you're in computer science, it's like it's all over the place.
Speaking of acronyms,
All over the place.
Other inspirations included his fascination with Plato, or programmed logic for automatic testing operations. And before that, as a youth, his interest in the board game Stratego,
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
and French card game Millie Borns. I wasn't familiar.
Did you miss an O? Millie Bornzo, Plato, Stratego. Boy, I want
Or
to
actually, if
go.
it's French, it's probably
Milbon.
yeah.
Milbon.
That is probably what it is.
Oh,
So anywho, following a brief stint at Dave Nutting Associates,
dude. Dude.
a job he quit when being denied a request to make games, was hired by Stern with the promise that he could fix a problem with their Bally controller inputs. He did, and so he was granted with the task of pursuing his goal of crafting his own arcade title from scratch. He drew the art, designed the graphics, programmed the code, and tested and debugged it all by himself. It was prototyped on his Tektronix dev system kit, and borrowing concepts from robots, I hate how unoriginal these game names are, he took various elements to construct the general premise. The player, getting constantly chased by enemies, they could crash into each other and disappear, or like explode. And to break down what the core of Berzerk even is, essentially you and a friend, it's multiplayer, are the, quote, humanoid intruder, and must escape the mazes by destroying as many robots as possible, while also evading a menacing giant smiley face known as Evil Otto. You start in the center of the screen for each room and must rush to the exits as, on one of the four edges. The baddies trying to kill you everywhere. Thankfully, you can fire in 8 different directions from the joystick. You can't move and shoot simultaneously, this majorly adding to the difficulty. Bonus points are given when everybody's dead. Speaking of, you can die from either getting shot, touching the robots or walls, or getting caught by that flying sinister emoticon. Because you see, Evil Otto can't be taken out. In fact, he can phase through anything and will hunt you till the end. It follows style. Otherwise, there are dip switches in the machines to adjust a couple of mechanics, the ability to earn extra lives, later models featured updated enemy varieties, nothing crazy. He also wanted it to be short, with the average round lasting only about 3 minutes to newbies. That said, he did have to tweak some factors, like the travel speed of the robots, that were making the experience unrealistically hard. Death was told to come in just 6 seconds. This and too many robots would lead them to all colliding into each other. So that's funny. He did eventually decide to make your character faster and limit the amount of bullets fired at you when entering a new room.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
Wow. Is this also the first instance of game rebalancing?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Rooms that, by the way, that were not random, despite appearing so. He thought that wasn't immersive enough. Plus, he threw in areas with seed generators, tracking certain Y and X coordinates that build the screens based on how you were performing.
Whoa. Okay, that's
Interesting.
actually that is a fascinating fact that you dug up there. That it's like this is like a very early instance of like the
Procedural generation.
procedural generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what I was about to say. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy
especially for the time.
for the time. Yeah, it's really cool.
Initially, there was no incentive to carry on once all the regular enemies were defeated, which is why Evil Otto was created. Honestly, not dissimilar from modern examples such as in Alien Isolation or Nemesis and Mr. X and Resident.
Yeah, persistent enemy.
Yeah,
unkillable.
persistent enemy.
Yeah.
And as a small backstory on that big bouncing smiley face, McNeil got the idea from the predominantly American "Have a Nice Day" icon, commonly associated with retail industries. Now, it's often referred to as a pathetic and disingenuous attempt to impersonally connect consumers to service workers. Later studies have called the initiative, quote, passive-aggressive, sarcastic, and dismissive.
No,
You added that in there just to satisfy also, it's like we gotta get the political
It's
commentary.
why
in
exactly,
here.
does Walmart still,
Yeah.
did they retire that?
Yeah, they have a new logo.
Okay. I haven't seen the Walmart.
I believe
smile.
there's nothing disingenuous about that. Forrest Gump came up with it.
Oh my God, I forgot about that bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He came up with it, but then that fuck stole his idea and made billions off of it.
Really an idiot.
Yeah. the mud on this shirt. And McNeil, he fucking hated that stupid like logo and movement. Further commenting that the phrase was uttered by, quote, people who didn't want you to have a nice day, but instead wanted to cover themselves in fake righteousness.
There's that
Man.
old George Carlin bit where he says, "I don't like when people say have a nice day because it feels like you're like making me responsible for something. Like have a nice day. What if I don't have a nice day?"
Well, it's that what is it? The joke from Drake and Josh that people make fun. The have a nice day. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
The UPS guy.
This is there's a lot of rich details, especially behind this, especially with the procedural generation.
Yeah, and again, it's
like,
so simple.
and it's like he had a subversive message to this. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, in the 90s we got Harvester, but in the 70s he had to deal with Berserk and its messaging about smiley faces.
It was
And
perfect.
feign kindness.
Yeah. It was perfect for a main antagonist. He then continued, so I showed it like it was. Have a nice day while I beat you to death.
Man, I'm telling you, it's like I would have never guessed.
And this dude
that-
seems pretty rad.
I would have never guessed that there was a subversive message to Berserk of all things. That's just wow.
As for the name, supposedly Otto came from an overbearing security manager at his previous employer, Nutting Associates, who would enforce strict lunch hours.
Wait.
Oh my god.
Which is it? Dan Nutting or Nutting Associates?
Dave Nutting Associates.
Dave
sorry.
Nutting.
Yeah.
Did you make that up?
I did
Nutting
not.
Associates?
And I've had bosses like this. So
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
that guy.
Coming everywhere.
Dude, restricted. Yeah, that's a nightmare of a boss. Oof.
Oh, and he got the title Berzerk from like it was lifted from a Frank Saberhagen series of books called Berzerker, where the acclaimed science fiction and fantasy author told an epic surrounding robotic war machines intending to exterminate all organic and biological life forms. These novels were even credited as influencing many future works, including episodes of Star Trek, the Reapers from Mass Effect, the Necrons from Warhammer 40K, the Replicators in Stargate, and of course, Skynet
You're forgetting
in the
one more.
Terminator films.
You're forgetting one more.
What?
For guys who like making fuck. Berzerk.
That's gotta be our closing out.
Yeah.
song.
Berzerk.
That is a deep cut right
Yeah.
there. Very deep cut.
Did you say making fuck?
Making
Yeah.
fuck, yeah.
But perhaps saving the most notable aspect of the game for last, its addition of a, quote, speech chip to feature digitized audible voices. A neat trait that he thought of when the office was visited by a salesperson promoting it. Thus, he quickly saw an opportunity to affix it into his hardware and took the offer. This way, the cabinet could actively in real time taunt the player or lure potential customers on the attract screen. And Stern was in for it. They even incorporated it into their Flight 2000 pinball machine and fellow arcade title Stratovox. These 3 releases being the first of their kind to do so. And it was dope. The in-game robots would threaten you, warn you, insult you. Are you going to fight or flee? It definitely inflicted a sense of anxiety in the user. It was a smart choice to throw out the sounds that it was equipped with before. Not that this was the intended function of said speech chip. No, originally it was designed to assist those who had impairments with sight.
Wow.
This usage was cool fine too.
This is the origin of this game is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Because this guy has accessibility options before it's even thought of or acknowledged. I'd imagine, what is it, 77?
Yeah.
It's just
it
if
came
you
out
were
in the 80s.
if you were born blind or became blind, you were just, video games weren't a thing for you. The end.
Yeah.
And then this guy's already thinking about that. Although I do like the idea of a much cheaper, less important aspect of being fuck you.
Yeah.
Just trying to get people's attention in a bar or something.
That is pretty funny. Yeah.
I'll
show
shit,
you.
nerd.
Yeah, it's just walking by.
Man,
What's up, pencil dick? You just run over to the
What did you say? What'd you say? Is there a guy in this computer?
there's such a sincerity and creativity to the development of this game that I loved. To be fair, which is very prevalent in across all early game development. But it's a cool story. It's fun to hear about.
And it doesn't hurt to have some fun with it, because the hilarious thing is that when he noticed the voice came across creepy and robotic when fitted into children's toys, inserting it into Berzerk was its ideal home. So, in turn, frightening kids in other ways.
Can you imagine just being blind and just hearing commands from this robot voice all day? Cross the street now. Don't go, you will get hit by a car.
The crunchy hisses and tones were still able to be assembled into words. All the computer could control was the pitch. Therefore, the phrases were needed to be kept to a minimum length. In order to get you guys in the mood, though, going to play snippets. So you ready? I think you might know a handful of them. All right. But this.
Intruder alert, intruder alert.
Yep.
Get the intruder.
Yeah.
The intruder must not escape.
It's good shit.
Yeah.
Get the intruder.
Yeah. There's about I think over a minute worth of samples that they were able to get in there.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's iconic. And I told you, these samples alone have absolutely made it into the cultural lexicon. I always recall the Bot Planet episode of Futurama.
Yep.
has
That
bit.
is, it does. And it even works too, because it's such a grindy voice. You can almost hear you can hear the oscillation and
It's
the
creepy.
grind.
Yeah.
It's almost like a sawtooth wave. It's just very grindy.
Yeah. So this game is just about done. One sweet final touch. In the 11th hour, literally a month to launch, it was decided that it would make a full conversion from black and white to color. However, due to budget and hardware constraints, this was achieved by engineers painting transparent ink on an overlay that sat directly on top of the screen. It's probably similar to what Boot Hill did.
Yeah.
Because this is, this is more the appearance of color, I guess. But still, 4 bits.
Listen. As this company demonstrated, arcade cabinets were closer to jukeboxes than actual software back then. So you did what you had to do.
Mm-hmm. And so Berzerk was formally complete and sent to manufacturing. McNeil spoke in a retrospective interview that coming up with the foundation for it was easy, but all development after was defined as, quote, drudge work, stating it took no less than 33 separate programs to run.
Jeez.
Wait, to do what? To carry out what? You have to run 33 separate programs to
Make the game work?
make the game work?
I guess. I'm not really sure.
That's actually, it's what did they have to run that through? I'd like a compiler, I imagine, but what else? That's crazy. That's interesting.
Stern, happy with their new product and leap into the arcade space, premiered the cab at the Amusement and Music Operators Association Expo that October 31st in 1980. Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, October 31st. And the response? It was an instant smash. The show had a total of 7,400 attendees, and their Berzerk stations drew a heck of a crowd, huddling around their booth for hours daily just for a chance to try it. Those loud, fucked up VO lines like rang out, beckoning visitors to, come get it.
Yeah.
People that did get to play were hooked. So much that the finalized machines had to replace the joysticks on the test models with stronger ones, as they would be tugged so hard on them that the cabinet kept tipping.
Yeah, nerds have superior forearm strength.
I was actually
famously.
I was just gonna let you make the joke too. I wanted it.
These guys can really jerk this thing. Hey, wait.
But by that December, the little above, top-down shooter was unleashed on the public. 50,000 units shipped to malls and bowling alleys across the U.S. This was a massive release for the company, and a huge commercial success, thankfully. Quote, some games would be played out in a month because kids would easily get bored, but they always came back to Berzerk. Pac-Man eventually spelled the end of its dominance, but even then it was earning well for operators. So it's sick. They did it, man. And this soon paved the road to bring Berzerk to the household. Ports for the Vectrex and the Atari 2600 and 5200 consoles were made, although McNeil wasn't thrilled with those versions since they looked and sounded much cruder than the arcade counterpart, which, duh.
You said Atari 2600 ports?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they did what they could back then, considering the internals of these. Like, it ain't exactly a Neo Geo.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get a 1-to-1 like. And also he didn't care for the business of it either. Stern Electronics held the copyright till then, selling it off for $4 million without input from him.
What?
Yeah.
When?
He remarked, quote, intellectual property capitalism at its finest. So
$4 million for
Dude, this dude's a rebel. I
Berzerk
love
IP?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And reception from critics was also high, except a couple outlets didn't enjoy using the stick for both aiming and movement. Remember, Smash TV was years out, so
Yeah.
they weren't aware of how good they had it yet. A few others claimed the graphics weren't attractive by the current standards. Of course, they still complimented the voice acting and inclusion of Evil Otto as a villain. It shared Best of Show awards with Battlezone, so that's a feat for sure.
That's a feat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, was this also the first game with voice acting? Maybe not, actually. I can think of there's a possibility that... there was one of 3 titles that they put out that had that chip. Yeah.
But this was in 1980, and I can't think of anything else that would have predated that. So
It sounds like
it's got to be up there.
It's close. I don't think it's the first, but it's got to be one of them.
It may be.
All right, we'll do a fact check on that. We'll
Yeah.
find out.
And McNeil wasn't wrong to be scared about those home editions. There was already heavy skepticism for it following Atari's bungled version, like infamous, of Pac-Man for the 2600.
Of course, yeah, I own that one.
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's pretty rotten.
Oh, it is. It's awful.
Yeah,
God awful.
people say that was that and ET were like responsible for the crash.
God, yeah.
Obviously, it's more complicated than that, but
Yeah.
Nevertheless, many reviewers found these to be like a solid alternative in bringing Berzerk to your living room. Hell, EGM wrote that it was better than any arcade to home transitions that they'd ever seen from any studio so far.
So it was like also amongst all these other things, a great port.
Yeah.
That's-
No.
Fascinating.
Which is actually, I also agree, a rarity in those days where it was like the home systems were not, they didn't have the same power.
Yeah.
Good for them. That's a feat.
Still a rarity today too.
I looked it up. It says Stratovox.
Wait,
oh,
wasn't
I
that
think
the
that
other
was
title?
that's the same. That's part of that 3.
Yeah.
No.
okay.
That's a violin brand.
That's Stradivarius.
Stratovox.
They made the
okay.
Ouya controller.
Yeah, how can we forget?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was the first game that featured voices. Dragon's Lair was the first game to
FMV.
contain human voices.
Human
Right.
voices,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
right. Okay, the difference between like
'Cause the-
digitizing a
the
voice
Berzerk
with a
voices
waveform
were,
and then
yeah, they were
Yeah, the way
synthesized.
when you said voiceovers, I was like,
right. I should specify those were not actual like they were generated as
Yeah.
not people
Oh
recording
boy,
them.
Dragon's Lair. That's an episode right there. If you wanted to do it.
What is it? Dirk Diggler? Dirk the Daring? His name?
Dirk the Daring, I think.
Dirk Daring? Wait, did I get that right?
I know. I'm fairly
Dick
sure.
the Daring Diggler.
I don't remember. It's something like
I think Dirk Diggler is the name of the guy from Boogie Nights.
Wait,
Sounds familiar. I don't know if it's from Boogie Nights, but
Dirk Diggler.
but yeah, everyone's digging Berzerk. The mazes had variety. It controlled reasonably well, despite depending on who you asked. But the downgrading graphics didn't alter or deviate from its aesthetic. The port for the VCS won the Certificate of Merit, even beating the ColecoVision release of Nintendo's Donkey Kong.
What is a certificate of merit?
I don't know.
It sounds like the lamest. Like all those boomers say, "Oh, participation awards." Like certificate of merit. It's so like ambiguous and like it could be anything.
Of course.
Yeah.
This thing
Of course.
stinks.
And the coveted seal of mediocrity.
Yeah.
Does Nintendo still do their seal, the seal
No.
of quality?
No.
I think
They are,
that I was gonna say it sounds like something that is trying to say it's like this is like it's like an officially licensed game like Nintendo's quality control.
Well, that's why they
program,
did. They did it when the Tengen stuff was coming out on on NES. But like, I'm just wondering if they like followed through even until like the GameCube generation, where it's like, is that on like BMX XXX or something? Like,
No.
I want
Certificate of merit on BMX Triple X.
This game has merit.
Yep.
Unfortunately, though, this is where our story will take a dark turn, what I hinted at in the intro. And bear with me, because a smattering of these details are sketchy. During the evening of April 3rd, 1982, around 8 p.m., 18-year-old Peter Bukowski, not Burkowski as Wikipedia has it.
Or Bukowski.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Was found unresponsive next to a Berzerk machine at the family-friendly, medieval-themed Friar Tuck's game room parlor in the recently...
What'd you call me?
in the recently snow-covered Calumet City. Or is it Calumet City? Calumet. And this is in Illinois. Or is it Illinois? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Illinois.
Yeah, it's gonna be my drag queen name.
Illinois.
Illinois.
Illinois?
It's gonna be my drag queen name, Friar Tuck.
I think somebody.
I don't want to go to. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to your game room. If that's your name.
Hey,
Oh, it's got Berzerk in it.
hey, make sure you pronounce it right. Game.
No,
Game
that's,
board. Game board.
So this is in Calumet City, Illinois, and this presumably after playing a particularly intense 15 to 20 minute session of the game, according to witnesses. I'm sad to say he was later pronounced as having passed. An attendant did provide CPR while an ambulance raced over to the building. The town was in shock, a town that was coincidentally known for having two striking landmarks that eerily bear a resemblance to that there Evil Otto, when they painted two massive, like, giant water towers as yellow happy faces, dubbed Mr. and Mrs. Smiley.
The town was shocked because they knew after this point, moving forward, their town will be remembered for the lamest way to die. 15 to 18 minutes intense, you said? Intense 15 like 20 minute session?
Yeah.
They were trying to replace their.
How many drugs were in his system?
We'll get to all of this.
Oh.
Listen, they're trying to replace their previous certificate merit, having the largest retention pond in the tri-state area. Okay, they figured anything was better than that.
But it is
Man
wild.
died from being suffocated to death with head stuck up cow's ass.
It's like, imagine going into this town and seeing, like, basically two Evil Ottos. It's dumb and
I gotta
and
get outta
unrelated,
here.
but still ominous. Also, massive props to Kat Desperia and her Retro Bitch blog for this boots on the ground research. She actually went there and
Cool,
everything,
awesome.
yeah. And I will credit her again at the end in sources as well.
What can
Good.
you tell me
Nice.
about the lame ass dude that died here back in 1982? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's, I guess, a lot of people die here. We have a hospital.
This will
and
become
more.
a thing of legend.
Wow.
So she does fantastic work with video game history and its related myths and legends, as I just said. And I just wanted to shout her out real quick. But
No, good
yeah,
for
for the urban urban
Credit to her.
legend. Like yeah.
It's retro, bitch.
So reports in local newspapers suggested the possibility of a stress-induced heart attack and implored the officials basically to explore the theory that it was due to the abrasive gameplay featured, and if other hobbyists should be careful of potentially suffering the same fate. Because those around him described Peter as fit and healthy. He was 5'10", 172 pounds. It's not as if agina was something he needed to deal with regularly. The only factor that could apply was that he did have a busy afternoon, frequently trudging through the recent remains of a blizzard to trek between his home, a friend's house, and finally the arcade. Mentally he appeared to be all together. Many noted him as as quiet and sort of shy, but very nice. Often alone, though he did have friends, and no issues with drugs or alcohol so there you go.
Back in my day, it was the least stimulating games that could kill a man.
Quaaludes. And he was no slouch with Berzerk. Quite the opposite. The operator there even commented to folks about how he went for that cabinet every chance he could. So yeah, with word of what happened now making its rounds past locals and into the national news, the question was what to do now. There were a number of venue owners who temporarily pulled the plug on their Berzerk units, just as a precaution.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So,
I mean, it's not like they were liable. It's not like there was a court case. It's I'm assuming there wasn't.
I think they were preventing even the thought.
Yeah. Don't you go die in here.
Because they wanted to put a halt to any incoming controversies or scare campaigns. Investigators patiently awaited the results from the deputy coroner, Mark Allen, who upon conducting an autopsy discovered that the poor teenager had severe scar tissue on his heart for several weeks leading up to the day of his death. This likely caused from an undiagnosed condition. However, he still concluded his findings with, quote, "It is plausible that the strain of the game triggered the attack in Peter's weakened heart." So, Berzerk wasn't off the hook just yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Berzerk didn't manufacture the gun, but it pulled the trigger, you're saying?
Yeah, because remember, gaming
I don't know.
in general...
He always went for that machine. Maybe enough Berzerk exposure over time, built up scar tissue on his heart.
Every time he died in the game, he got a little bit of scar tissue.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a demon inside of the cabinet holding his soul.
It's like Pony Island.
Yeah, holding his soul for ransom, and it said if he didn't come back and he didn't get a certain score, he would die by a certain day, and he didn't make it. He just didn't make it in time.
And gaming in general was still in its earliest stages, and at this point, and little was known in terms of any medical dangers. Epilepsy warnings, for example, were decades away.
This game influenced his heart to kill him. Much like video games influence kids to do school shootings.
You politician?
Solved it.
Yeah.
The evidence is irrefutable. Really.
Yeah, the two dots.
Sorry,
just right
you can't release these games. The studios, just give them all to me. Just give me all the games. I'll sell them for 10 times the amount out the back of my house. Just give them all to me.
And all this info is very, like I said, this all came from Kat. Because she, debunked the bullshit and also, was able to dig through and find the truths that we need here. Video games aside, pediatric cardiomyopathy?
Yeah, I think you got myopathy.
Or more specifically in Peter's case, though, our
pussy disease.
He's
got a bad case of being a pussy. No, just kidding. I'm kidding.
Arthemogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy.
That's a funny way to say he was a little bitch.
Arithmogenic.
Arithmogenic.
Yeah.
Sound it out.
And then what he said, right ventricular?
Yeah.
Right ventricle. Okay.
So it's the right ventricle. I don't know what arithmogenic is.
Arrhythmia.
Okay, so a heart attack.
Yeah.
But this shit was nothing to mess with, and that's the rarest form of it.
Oh.
He was just that
unlucky.
Yeah.
Oh.
Essentially. And it's responsible for causing abnormal electric activities or arrhythmia in the heart's contractions and is regularly asymptomatic prior to a trigger. So you don't even know if you have it. Yeah.
So was he DOA?
Yeah.
or was he like he collapsed?
I
The
think
EMTs got there.
Yeah,
and then
there might have been a signal, but he was never able to be revived.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
Shit.
So, and when you combine this with the account from his friend Burton Ben Everett that he had confided him that afternoon about feeling chest pains and experiencing breathing problems, this, along with walking miles in the snow and the caffeine in his system from soda drinking, the picture was slowly coming together.
How many ounces of soda?
They
How many joke colas did he down?
Cat didn't have that in. Yeah, I guess that info.
So, okay, so
That
wait a second.
information. Yeah.
I wasn't the caffeine's fault.
Yeah.
So, presumably...
I
Partially.
just wanted to shine the light on every detail.
an
Not
accessory.
that's the
No.
smoking
It's an
gun.
accessory to murder here.
Yeah, it certainly didn't help, but I wouldn't put the blame on caffeine.
What if that was what put it over the edge?
I mean, it's a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the what do you call it? The cola in like the 80s that was like super high caffeinated.
RC?
Yeah.
RC.
No, Jolt.
Oh, it was
That's what
Jolt?
we're talking
Jolt
about,
cola.
I
yeah.
actually just tried looking up and seeing if they still
yeah.
sell it.
around.
Because a couple years ago they were selling the blue raspberry one, and it was
Yeah.
sick.
The
It
funny
was
thing though
dope.
is like Jolt was the crazy thing about it is that it had twice the caffeine as a normal like soda, like a Coke. But now in the days of like energy drinks, like
Yeah.
actual, like that's probably pretty. Like
Yeah, those like C4 drinks have like 6 times the caffeine of a Coke.
Right,
so,
yeah.
I've had a lot of instances actually, obviously due to like medication prescriptions and like too much caffeine, where I've felt very briefly like heart palpitations, and I was like,
That's scary shit.
"Woo!" Yeah.
I remember doing it like when I had to work Black Friday. We
Yeah.
would all do like a shot of like the 5 hour, 6 hour
Mm-hmm.
energies. Woo.
Only this time
Those have
you
probably killed
injected
more
it.
people than Berzerk. Yeah. But I think Mountain Dew even is like probably as much caffeine as a.
No,
as
you
a
know
Jolt,
what
but-
actually makes me stay away from that stuff? How much sugar's in it?
Yeah.
Mm.
It's
It's
actually
like 172%.
it is a
Like,
lot.
Shit.
I
So
know
much.
as a
Yeah.
diabetic, I can guarantee you, yes, like one of those like I don't know what is
It's
it?
like half a vial of insulin just to
It
have
is.
Mountain
Yeah,
Dew.
We know what your murder
you know,
weapon is.
Yeah.
So most non-diet soda is just a sugar nuke, but like Mountain Dew is notorious for having just that little bit of extra sugar on top of it. So like a
Yeah.
I don't know whatever it is, like a 16 or 20 ouncer of Mountain Dew has like well over 100 grams of
Yep.
sugar inside of it. It's insane.
Also that autopsy listed him as having experienced a mild attack 3 weeks prior. If
How do
only-
you
if-
find that out?
If only it was caught, this could have been prevented.
Was there like a bubble?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess how do you post mortem be like this? Some person
I
had
don't
a
know.
heart attack 3 weeks ago.
I'm
I'm
dumb.
sure
You
there's.
can
I'm sure there's
see-
smart ways.
You can see like the signs of it. Like it wears your body down, and over time you can kind of, it's like counting the rings in a tree
Oh, nice.
a little bit.
Count the rings in this guy's heart.
Yeah.
There's a Mountain Dew here and
Yeah.
a Coke here. And,
There's a Dorito Lodge right here.
That didn't help.
Tom Blankley, the proprietor of Friar Tuck's, gave his sympathies. Quote, "It was so awful. Just such a tragedy. My staff did what they could and never left him or stopped trying to revive him, but he couldn't be brought back. That's something I have never forgotten."
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like
Well, hang on.
It's like yo, when Retro Bitch went to interview him, like I bet he didn't forget that at all.
Well, hold on. So, he was in a rough position because not his fault. Although he was quick to deflect any blame, telling journalists, "quote Pete had a time bomb in him, and it just happened to go off here." Before tastelessly adding, "I expected it to hurt business, but if anything, business has been up."
That you didn't need to say
Which,
that.
yeah, like why did you add that last one?
I'm
Okay, buddy, you said the quiet part out
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah.
You didn't need to add. It's like
So
the-
that first one was just like the Bill Murray clip in Zombieland. He was just like, it's so tragic, and he's just wiping his face
Yeah.
with $100 bills,
Yeah.
wiping his tears.
I often like when I'm watching old like horror movies specifically, like
Yeah.
camp slashers specifically, I often think what it would be like. I love like 70s ones,
Mhm.
but this is like shortly thereafter. But it's like societally how different everything was.
Yeah.
And I
'Cause I
would
think
love
he-
to be a fly on the wall
Like,
because
and
it's
he was
like,
just talking like matter of fact, like, and I bet I don't know if that was like, dude.
yeah, no, I think
come to find out, the manager of Friar Tuck had a little bit of a learning disability, as they call it.
That's just it. Like, always hang tight when you read something because I was just like, all right, that's good. And then I was like, what? And not that he was lying. As we've highlighted in many hot buttons, this only boosted Berzerk's popularity and mysticism.
Yep.
Kids are now running
Kill
to
me,
dump
kill me,
quarters
kill me, kill
into the machine that killed somebody.
Oh my god.
I can feel it. It's going to explode.
You just see it's
Just
like
one more game.
your friend just drops dead, and it's like, oh, Billy,
Wait.
it happened to Billy. Not
Wait,
me.
I forgot. There was soda. Somebody go get me a soda. Quick, quick, quick.
He's having a little heart attack.
Wait, what's that from?
Whitest Kids.
Oh, yeah.
The butter bar.
Oh, the butter bar.
Can I have
Yeah.
another butter bar? You want another
I
one?
don't know.
I don't
There'll be
know.
more to it than that.
Yeah.
No, I saw the commercial.
Oh, my heart. Oh, his little heart.
Oh, my little heart.
My little heart. Having a little heart attack.
That's great.
So this then fueled the Playground urban legends too. Supposedly, Mr. Bukowski wasn't the first life taken by the nefarious arcade game. There are still web pages today that assert that Peter's student friend Jeff Daly, with his quote number of the beast score, was actually the initial victim of Berzerk. Allegedly.
Satanic Panic, all written all over this.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had 666 and then he disappeared overnight. It's like he was getting away from his abusive family,
Yeah, he's off
and then
on the
he
rails.
started hitchhiking across state.
He was a prominent leaderboard chaser, managing to make the top 10 twice with a high of 16,660 until his heart burst,
It's not even.
immediately killing him. Yeah,
It's not even the number of the
no,
beast.
the middle three digits are 666. But here's the funny, if you recall, this is kind of like during other Halloween topic, Polybius' questionable origins as well.
Oh, right.
So like gaming was relatively new and technology could be scary.
Yeah.
This was the height of the Cold War. So your average person didn't have the strongest grasp on like the lightning fast evolution of this stuff yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now proper evidence of that Jeff Daly campfire tale, plus many similar like gossip, did not like it didn't present itself in my research. So take this shit with the biggest grain of salt. For starters, depending on the source, he's either from that same town of Calumet City or just Virginia, the town of Virginia.
That's close.
Yeah. And in spite of being labeled as the first victim, the earliest known mentioning of him and his copycat ending came 6 months after Peter's demise was published in Video Game Magazine. That's actually what
Hey, they got there first.
yeah, I guess so.
This is how you set up like prequels.
Yeah.
It happened. They're doing it after, but it's actually before.
Right, yeah. So it's like you see a story and then you write like a backdated kind of origin to it.
Literally had to play a game of telephone.
And what is it? And this was told in Video Ace as occurring back on January 12th, 1981. And like I suppose the people there forgot, or the truth was buried, whatever's juicier. The sign of the devil angle was new, though. Of course, any integrity to this story was squashed when it was revealed that Jeff's obituary listed him as dying from a car crash in May later that year. Whoever wrote this presumed fiction were probably not well acquainted with the game either, as that is a low-ass score to earn like after hours and hours of use.
So is this the first example of like not ship posting, but like
Review bombing?
Or no,
Astroturfing?
No. Like copy pasta.
Oh yeah, kind of.
It's
Actually,
like-
yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
know a
kinda
guy.
like
It happened to
shitposting, yeah.
and then it just like becomes
This is
real,
like spaghetti.
yeah,
or-
creepy fettuccine.
Yeah. I forget what the term is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, creepy pasta.
Yeah, creepy pasta. Yeah.
And also like so Berzerk champion Grant Thiemann in his response to this answered with quote, there's no way possible to play hours on a game of Berzerk on 1 quarter and only get 16K. And he's right, especially with Evil Otto always.
Yeah, well, the kid was rich.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not a loss of life there, bro.
But the rumors kept on spreading, much to the dismay of its creator, who had a different interpretation of events surrounding young Peter's tragic accident. Him and Blankley maintained that Berzerk had nothing to do with it, and that instead his heart attack was instigated by a shortness of breath from sprinting up a flight of stairs to play the game. And as he arrived at the cabinet, only got minutes into his round till the aforementioned collapse.
Listen,
Okay.
the game didn't kill him. His heart killed him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is the obvious conclusion, that he had a very rare heart condition.
Yeah.
Preceded by heart pains before he
Yeah.
left the house, and then walk through the snow and up a flight of stairs to play the game. It's like I think he was kind of dead by the time he already arrived at the cabinet.
Let's take this bad press and turn it into good press. Put on the opening screen of Berzerk. The game's so good it'll kill you.
What if he knew? What if he felt it when he was climbing those stairs and he just went, I just want to die doing what I love.
Man,
He's like, if I'm gonna die right now, I'm gonna die playing Berzerk.
dude, that's a straight up like Twilight Zone twist right there. It's just like it was on purpose.
Regardless of what you believe, though, one thing is for certain.
His spirit haunted the cabinet.
That fuck Otto watched him die with a smile on his face.
Yeah. And now his soul haunts the cabinet to this very day. Did I already make that joke? I can't remember anymore.
Sean just said it.
No,
but
I just said
but
it.
here's the other thing, though. That's gonna play in. He did survive long enough to punch in those initials at least.
What?
Yeah.
As he was slipping forward,
Well,
his
bro,
head
did he get
pressed
the-
against
Oh my
the glass.
God.
Did he get the high score? Because that's sick as fuck. If you just get the high score and then immediately die.
D E D.
Yeah. And then Friar Tuck unplugs the machine and just goes, nobody can touch this ever again.
Yeah, right. It should be preserved.
Someone taps on the shoulder. They're stored in RAM when you unplug the
Yeah.
system. It erases the high scores. No, dude, it should have been RIP.
Now, I do have a final Berserk-related smiting to briefly touch on, and of all of the legends, this is the most gruesome and the most cloudy with how it's remembered. However, unlike little Jeff Daly, this has the proof to back up its claims as true. All right.
It fell on a kid.
Yeah.
Easy. Smushed a 4-year-old.
Yeah, the joysticks still weren't strong enough.
Jerked it right on top of a 4-year-old. I just imagine it just a cabinet on the floor. There's some blood splatter underneath. Oh, God.
Like the Wicked Witch, the legs
that-
curl up.
the legs curl up. That was one evil kid.
His spirit now haunts this dreaded machine.
On March 20th, 1988, again at the Friar Tuck's, this 6 years
What?
after.
No. No
6
way.
years
It's
after
the
the
place.
Peter disaster.
No.
Friar Tuck, is that code for something?
Edward Clark Jr., a mischievous 17-year-old from Lansing, Illinois, would meet a disturbing end. So, Ed Boy had just enlisted.
Mischievous? He put an M80 up his butt, and that's how he died.
So he had just enlisted in the America's National Reserve's Green Beret Division, despite previous run-ins with the law. Not for anything serious, but they did define him as having trouble with authority. Same. Although his negative attitude didn't stop at cops. For you see, that night...
He also hated friars.
That night, he picked a fight in that arcade with the wrong motherfucker, and in front of a particularly jinxed-ass cabinet.
Evil Otto. He picked a fight with Evil Otto.
Auto watches.
So yeah, him and his friends, upon entering, did do a couple rounds of Battle Zone. That was before laying their eyes on that mythical Berzerk machine, and probably hearing it talk to them.
Fuck you, idiot. Get over here and show me your high score.
When they approached it, Clark had noticed a string of quarters propped up on the glass, a common tactic to reserve your spot in establishments such as these. That's what Sean mentioned before we started recording. The teen, being the rebel that he was, took one, inserted it, and began his digital adventure battling robots. Bad move. Bad arcade etiquette. Within moments, another misanthropic kid, 16-year-old Pedro Roberts, and his group had appeared, screaming at Clark for stealing his quarter, which later was found out not to have been, it wasn't even his.
Oh, that Pedro Roberts and his group of troublemakers. We all know about him.
Not that it warranted this type of reaction anyway.
No.
He was demanding his money be returned.
Always the riffraff.
A
You know what I mean?
quarter.
Yeah. It was
I
a
mean,
lot
I
back
know
then.
it was like $5 back then, but still,
Now Roberts, short backstory on him, had a bit of a reputation around that Camelot city. Many residents, or Camulet. God, Camulet?
I thought you were going to say he had a reputation around that arcade.
Well,
He had bashed in 4 machines that week. There was nothing we could do to stop him.
Wait, you're trying to say Camelot? That's it? Camelot?
Camulet. Calumet. So many residents would chat about how he sported street smarts, but was also, quote, tough and emotionally void of empathy when angered or engaged in conflict.
What? Wow, that's oddly descriptive.
Yeah, kind of a cold bastard. If
Yeah.
you will. For 16. Already showing distressing signs of living a problematic life, including early incarceration or worse.
Someone put a lot of thought into this guy.
Yeah,
They
well,
really
like I said,
analyzed
people
him.
around town knew who he was. He was
Ish.
just
I
kind of
mean-
like this little prick that I guess went around fucking with people.
That is like a Stephen King level of detail about like this one minor character in the
Yeah,
story
right.
of just
And granted,
like,
I don't know like how large this like what the population of this place
Yeah.
is.
I like to imagine he's like 4'2".
I think he's like it feels
Hey,
like one of the
Peach
bullies in It. Like
Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
like
Patrick.
yeah, I bet it's like that. So Clark being Clark, this is the kid who's playing on it. Refused, basically telling him to piss off as he continued his game. More threats were exchanged. Pedro, digging his heels in, warned him to step away from the machine, quote, or else. Clark ignored him. Pedro then shifted his rage towards one of Clark's nearby friends, nudging and pushing him aside. With this, a scuffle then ensued. Pedro Roberts then allegedly whipped out a knife, really
Whoa.
escalating
Damn.
shit and directing at everybody around. Although this part was never proven in court, to be fair.
dude, the 70s and 80s really were just more violent.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, dude, bro, you're whipping out a knife over an arcade game, man.
Is-
It's like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Is this from a retelling, like a memory retelling?
Yeah,
or is it from
this
the
is
police report?
this is interviewing like some of the people involved. That's why
Okay.
like the things are a little like hazy because it was
Was
so
it a
long,
Friday?
in detail. Yeah.
No, it was a
Yes.
Sunday.
It was a bright, cold day in April. And all the clocks were chiming 13.
Because according to conflicting witness testimonies and incident reports, so I guess there are some police like documents or files being referenced here as well. The argument over whose Berzerk turn it was is confirmed. It's just some say it resulted in a fist getting thrown. Others say it was only a swearing match rather than like a brawl. To this day, people don't know for sure. Court records show that Clark was only defending his buddy from being beaten up. Controversially, owner Tom theorized that this altercation was perhaps a tad more premeditated and that they weren't no strangers to each other. Quote, I'm not sure what happened between them prior, if there had been some bad blood for a while or what. I remember someone saying Clark had stolen Robert's girlfriend or something. I don't know if that's true, but whatever it was, it got out of hand pretty quickly, and they were... and they beat each other up pretty good before security kicked them all out.
Either way,
So some of that's,
it was
conjecture.
great for business.
I was gonna say, what if good old Friar Tuck there
Tom,
is his name
slipping,
Tom?
Yeah, slipping people.
Tom
fives and
Blankley
tens.
and Friar Tuck. The place is called Friar Tuck's, but I don't think there's anyone there named that.
Oh, okay.
No,
So I
why
don't
would
know.
The owner of Friar Tuck's, what was his name?
Tom Blankley.
Tom Blankley.
Yeah,
He saw that boost to his revenue.
He started
when the
scoping
first
out.
guy died, and then
Yeah.
it slowly started to dip. And 6 years later, he was like, "I have an idea.
yeah.
Yo,
We need somebody else to die in front of the Berzerk cabinet,
I can
or this
just-
place is going under."
I could see him sitting at like the front desk or whatever, just holding like one of those like megaphone things up to his ear so he can hear better. I forget what they're called.
and he would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those meddling kids
Yeah.
and their dog. He's trying to drive up business for his Friar Tuck's playland.
It's Old Man Blankley.
Yeah, old man Blankley. He's trying to drive up real estate values on his ailing Friar Tuck's theme park Wonderland.
Manipulating these warring teens.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, it's that dastardly Berzerk energy, I tells you. And it's Evil Otto's evil spell, corrupting around, anyone who dares to play it.
You know what? I gotta say, this is such like a weird and charming piece of microhistory that would have,
that's a good
it would
one,
have just passed into the annals of like maybe like a small amount of local history, but it's like because of this, it's now preserved forever as just a thing that is preserved for the annals of history of just this one.
That's why it was fun to get into. Because I was like, this is not a well-known.
I know.
Like, yeah.
And it's just like over what? It's just like over like a video game or stealing someone's girlfriend. It's like such a I would describe it as like, I don't know, just such a microscopic conflict, and it's almost petty.
in a larger
and it's so petty in nature, and yet because of its association with this, we now
Yeah.
get to these people. Like this story is now preserved forever. It's now part of a legend.
But yes, nearby employees on hand did help break them apart, separating them and vacating them from the premises. Fearing that removing everyone at the same time would exacerbate the tenseness and cause another potential like violent outburst, though, or possible, the fight would just continue. So Clark was kept inside, and Roberts was forced to walk. A smart decision, honestly. And there was no like law enforcement involvement yet. So after waiting 10 minutes, maybe it should have been longer, Clark was instructed to head home in the reverse direction, like the opposite side that Pedro was sent. Defiantly or foolishly, he did not heed that advice. Clark and his posse immediately went looking for Roberts and his cohorts, those of which were hiding in an alley ready to ambush.
Oh my God, it's like fucking West Side Story.
Yeah.
I was just about to make that joke. Dude, they got into a serious snap fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They jumped out with Roberts brandishing
When you're
his
a Jeff,
knife.
you're a Jeff for life.
I think
Sorry.
people did get stabbed in West Side.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
At least in the book. So Robert pulled that knife out, and Clark was slashed and stabbed in the chest. Roberts and his crew then scattered. When the chaos calmed down, Clark, not realizing just how severe his injuries were, like those wounds that he'd suffered, rebuted urgings of going to a hospital for treatment till he then fainted. His friends then threw him in the rear of a car and sped to that hospital against his wishes. Unfortunately, one of those cuts had pierced his heart, and he bled out in that back seat
Oh my
Jesus.
while in
God.
commute.
Wow.
Backseat,
fuck,
you
yeah.
said the trunk.
No, in the back of the car. Like,
Was it an El Camino?
I don't know.
I'm just
Oh, but yeah,
Damn.
this didn't need to happen, guys. Justice was served, I guess. Pedro Roberts was trialed and convicted in May of 1990. This post 24 months in jail to await his trial. He got 11 years and a self-defense ruling for making a plea deal. This even granting him eligibility for parole after just 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. Not enough, in my opinion. It's complicated.
Did you look up his, like, when he got out? Have
I
you dove into his personal life at all? Got an address we can dox him? Murderer.
There's a lot of Pedro Roberts out there,
I
I will say.
can imagine.
Luckily, the game itself wasn't under attack like with Manhunt. Would that lawsuit be? So, like, to hold Stern liable, or, even the arcade, the establishment itself, the venue.
I'm imagining like a Southern court with a Southern lawman or defense attorney. Just,
Yeah.
Your Honor, my
pull it up,
client,
suspend it, say
it's just a cabinet.
Yeah.
My client is an inanimate object, and I can't see how he could possibly do the crimes you are labeling him of.
I was just gonna say, if they made a movie adaptation of this, there'd be a scene where Pedro Roberts is in the solitary, and they just go in and it's just drawings of Evil Otto on every wall.
Put on a
That'd be
happy
great.
face.
Yeah.
By the way, that is Clarence Darrow. That is a parody of. He's a very famous defense attorney.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
It was-
Clarence
No
Darrow.
shit.
Oh, the Southern thing.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
where Foghorn Leghorn came from?
I'm just a simple country lawyer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I'm
like
just
that.
a simple hyperspace chicken.
Yeah, that's
forget
yes. Clarence
I was
Darrow.
gonna say Foghorn Leghorn.
What-
Yes, yeah.
What I forget what case that he was representative in, but I know exactly who
The
you're talking
Menendez
about.
brothers.
Yeah,
No, it was way back
Yeah,
when.
this had to be
But
old.
yeah, well known. Well known enough that people parodied him.
I know it from the Foghorn Leghorn, and from this Little Caesars commercial that parodies him.
When
I
I
didn't
think
see
of
that one,
attorneys,
no.
I just
He's like, I'm
immediately
just
go
a
there.
small town lawyer, but this pizza is good. I don't remember what the commercial was.
and I'm very fat.
Yeah.
Very cost effective. $5,
true.
hot and ready.
But as for the forever lineage to Berzerk, it is haunting, but it could have been by any arcade machine, technically. Or could it?
Polybius.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding, exactly. Although I do want to humor this last section of Kat's blog on the blog page on the topic, as it is sort of fucking crazy. All right, so now she does maintain that there is no real way to fully verify this as 100% fact without access to more sources. All I know is that this is going to sound like a hella insane conspiracy theory. However, there is data to confirm a number of these allegations. So I went down a tiny rabbit hole, not too deep, because I would have been locked in a padded room, also sketching Evil Otto all over the walls. Okay, so Pedro was sentenced to to spend the remainder of his days at the Marion Penitentiary in southern Illinois, a notorious prison known for implementing a behavior modification program entitled Control and Rehabilitation Effort, or CARE.
Care,
For
yeah.
brevity's
I was
That's cute.
notating the
Yeah.
those first letters.
They just lock him in a room with the arcade cabinet.
The
and Evil
second
Otto.
most fun part of being like a lawmaker, the first one is securities fraud. You get a lot of money out of it.
Yeah.
And the second one is coming up with acronyms for the bills that you write.
Yeah.
Yeah, make them sound nice.
I want to do that. I want to be the person that does. I don't want to write the laws.
No, you just want to come up
I just want to come up with that.
Yeah.
They're like, we have a law.
It's called CARE. How could this
Yeah.
be like...
I got a law. It's called Crush.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about branding. So this shit went into effect in 1968 and was said to have been a pioneer in lockdown techniques and sensory deprivation to effect in a Polybius-like fashion the proliferation of mind control experiments.
MS-13?
Of course.
Done. But seriously, lots of young inmates were likely tortured and used as guinea pigs.
I was going to say,
Woof, that's,
torture.
Halloween
that's-
episode.
That's torture.
Yes.
Yeah.
The initiative was later discontinued.
I was having a conversation a couple days ago with, I think, you and some other people about how like solitary confinement still exists
Yeah.
and should be considered cruel and unusual
Yeah.
punishment.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Again, there are aspects of this that could be a little fabricated, but it's like not unbelievable if you ask me. Like for that time, like
So what's the
This is like
thing
these?
that's not completely substantiated? Is that they were torturing prisoners? Because I believe it. You don't have to show me.
no,
evidence.
gonna
that
say, yeah.
that I think we know. It's more that we can't say whether or not Roberts was indeed one of those prisoners
Ah,
subjected.
okay,
But
okay, okay.
the thing is, considering his age and crime, it's surely
Possible.
probable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Isn't
torture
that-
in prisons is as assured as death and
Synonymous?
taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. A real American pastime.
Yeah.
I'm more. It's meant like I don't know his role, but he was, he was there.
The Make
Hey,
Them Better
man.
program.
All of the ingredients are there to make him part of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, you really, Jesus, dude, this story just went places. Like the more you follow,
so
the
interesting.
more you follow the breadcrumbs. Like we were talking about Berzerk before, and now it's like this
We're
has
talking
led
about, like-
the Stanford prison experiment
Yeah.
or something.
the U.S. prison system.
Yeah,
and-
this might be more fucked up than Berzerk the manga.
Yeah. To put this train back on the tracks, a more positive take, removed for that entire stabbing saga and the prison torture, is that this did lead to conversations about video games in relation to our own personal health and addictions.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that the Berzerk cabinet gave birth to a child. Went on to be a U.S. senator.
the Antichrist.
It's just an omen. This Berzerk cabinet.
Sorry, go ahead.
A woman played it late at night in 1983, and then
Immaculate Conception.
there was born the spawn of her and Evil Otto.
The fact that this also took place at the exact same location too is just
and the same
mind-blowing.
machine.
The town was built on an Indian burial ground. Let's move on.
Now, the what happened like with Peter may not have been an outcome of fatigue. Awareness on the topic, though, was approached by several professionals who performed and commissioned studies in an effort to prevent future accidents and suggest measures to avoid them. Your epilepsies and heart failures. Alas, not everybody adhered to these words. In reality, there are numerous game-related fatalities that have occurred all over the world, especially in various internet cafes.
Yeah.
Limits are more enforced now. So there was Shen Rongyu and Chuang, both in Taiwan. The former passed out after playing League of Legends for 23 hours straight and never woke up, while the latter's obsession of living in the realm of Diablo 3 for a full 40 hours died from a blood clot due to sitting in his chair for so long.
Wait, it was
He's got to get
Shenrong Yu?
Yeah.
Just
those boots that they made me put on at the hospital.
Wait.
Circulate your blood. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they gave it for me even when I was
Yeah.
at the appendectomy.
They
It's
have
like,
these boots that they look like
Compression?
Mega Man boots, kinda,
yeah.
and you put them on, and then they just move your muscles so
Yeah,
that they're not
they just kind of,
stationary,
like,
so the
gently
blood
massage, yeah,
so the
their
blood
muscle.
keeps circulating
those-
I gotta pass that.
when
out.
you can't move your legs.
those Balenciaga
Yeah.
Mega Man boots are actually medical.
Sorry, these are prescription.
Yeah.
They put on this bright white boot on me, and it just said Versace on the
Yeah.
side.
That's why your stay was so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow beating that dangerous record was Lee Swang-so of South Korea. StarCraft was his weakness. Not only losing his job and his girlfriend to his addiction, but also his life, caused by exhaustion and dehydration after a whopping 50-hour session.
Yeah.
And he likely would have pursued it further if he could.
I'd like to take a second to kind of highlight mental health
Yes.
in these circumstances, because
Very true.
it's not the gun, it's the bullet. You know, it's not a good argument, but like those things play a huge role.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think this follows on to our previous discussion with Manhunt. As it's just like, it's like, again, it's like this is just the thing that triggered, like it triggered in the mental.
There's tons of
I mean,
factors.
case in point, it's like, I think it's like, what do a lot of the presidential assassins have in common? It's like most of them.
3 names.
Yeah. Well, I know. A lot of them were fucking nuts.
Man.
That's it. It's like they were just all mentally ill.
Well, here you go, Austin. This cautionary tale involves Halo. Chris
Sick.
Staniforth, who used to be signed into Xbox Live regularly for 12 hours at a time, began to experience chest pains. Turns out he had developed deep vein thrombosis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Upon suffering a blockage in his lungs, aka a pulmonary embolism.
Yep.
Again, not from moving enough in the span of his sessions, his game sessions.
Yeah.
This one.
Did he have a poop sock?
Mom, bathroom.
Bathroom.
This one hurts.
By the way,
yeah.
deep vein thrombosis is just a blood clot.
Oh,
It's
is
the
it?
same thing that
Okay.
killed the guy that was playing
Gotcha,
League.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And so
I think it was more the fast food and the grease
Well, yeah,
clotting the
but
blood.
I'm saying DVT is just the medical term for a blood
Okay.
clot.
Anna Lee Keogh, a 13-year-old girl and asthmatic from
Whoa.
Bridgeport in the UK. She loved her 360. I can relate.
Me too.
Yeah. However, in hindsight, maybe more breaks should have been taken, as her prolonged activity upsettingly gave her an asthma attack it was so significant, so severe that it effectively destroyed part of her brain.
Wait,
She's on the books as being the youngest fatal injury directly from gaming. Across the pond in Russia, there was user Rustam, who was temporarily immobilized for a broken leg. He used the free-to-play RPG Defiance of the Ancients as a distraction during the healing process. He was straight binging this shit over the
Wait.
course of a 22-day period. And then he also got deep vein thrombosis. So
not
DVT
Defiance,
strikes again.
the MMORPG with guns.
Also, not Defense of the Ancients.
Oh,
Is it Defiance of the? Is it called Defiance of the
maybe
Ancients?
it? Yeah. Did I
Well,
get that?
Defense
Or
of the
Defense of the Ancients.
Defense of the Ancients is an RPG. It's
It's
Dota.
Dota. Yeah.
That's what Dota stands for.
Oh,
Oh,
I
I
gotta
okay.
look
didn't even
this up
draw
now.
that line.
Either
Yeah.
way,
I mean, it's
Defiance. Maybe it's
listen,
just a crude
I,
ripoff.
Crude
that or the
ripoff,
article
yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Where
we're
was
gonna
it?
look.
Where was this? Where did this
Um,
take place? Because if it's China, it's definitely
This
Defiance.
was Russia.
Oh, could be.
Yeah, it sounds like
Definitely
it could be.
could be.
Yeah, it sounds like a knockoff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't see a Defiance of the Ancients coming up on Google, so
Okay.
it's probably just Dota.
Probably Dota.
You should do Russian Google.
Nah, I'm good.
You sure?
They're already listening.
It's just gonna be like pictures of Vladimir Putin shirtless. I'm good.
There's also content creator and father of 3, Brian Vignault, who hosted a live charity marathon for Make-A-Wish. As a popular figure in the World of Tanks community, his money raising came to a sudden and tragic end after he collapsed of a heart attack while stepping outside for a cigarette post for a break, like post 22-hour stream.
Yeah,
You could
it's
put
tough.
that- you could put that on the cigarettes and not the 20-hour live stream.
22-hour. Perhaps most famously,
those are rookie numbers.
Yeah.
most famously was a 26-year-old man from China under the gamer tag Zong, whose dedication to Blizzard's World of Warcraft became so unhealthy that he gained 320 pounds, and following a 7-day bender of the MMO, was discovered slumped on top of his keyboard. Paramedics did what they could, but it was too late.
Matt did that.
His heart just wasn't able to take it anymore.
Yeah, they got mine. They
When
got
WoW
mine.
Classic came out, Matt almost died.
That's true. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they got my heart beating again.
So-
That's why I'm still here.
So you know what's really funny?
Yeah.
There's a couple
None
streamers
of
that I
these.
follow on Twitch that do, like, when things come out, like, I'm not going to, for example, there's this one Path of Exile streamer that whenever I think a season starts, and if there's like, he goes for like 40 hours in one sitting, and it's like,
Does like Twitch have restrictions on that?
I don't think so.
Remember the guy who was refusing to sleep
I don't,
recently?
they might have shut his
I think
stream
they, I
down.
think, yeah.
They shut us down. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of streamers do this. Like Ludwig did it with
Oh yeah.
Elden Ring, and then he did it again with Shadow of the Erd Tree.
I mean,
But
yeah, when
he-
I think
what
of
is
a-
it is coming up soon? The Child's Play or whatever the
Yeah, Shadow
Oh,
of the Erd.
yeah.
yeah.
But like he did it. It took
a
him
lot
like
of a lot of content creators do it. Like Giant
it
Bomb
took
does
him
it
like
and stuff
50 hours, but he's just
for the kids.
He
slept.
slept.
I mean,
Right.
that's what he
Yeah,
did with
I was
the
gonna say, he
subathon
did-
as
he just
well.
slept on
Right,
there.
but no, I'm talking about guys who just like, and
Yeah.
I multiple
Yeah.
streamers I follow. It's like 40 hours, and it's like
I looked this
That's
up.
fucking-
it's not
I
even
don't-
like a
You're
yeah.
definitely on.
I don't
amphetamines.
remember, but I looked this up when we were talking about the guy that was trying to stay awake.
Yeah.
There is like a CDC recommended, like, don't stay awake past this. It will be detrimental to your health.
Yeah. It's gonna cause. Brain
It's obviously
damage.
like
Yeah.
it's like don't stay up for 24 hours, but like if you have to, don't stay up past like 50 something, because then
Yeah.
you are actively dealing brain damage to yourself.
And so Zong didn't make it. And that along with the bad blood circulation and oxygen deprivation from his sedimentary lifestyle.
Yeah,
So
I feel like in a
there
lot
are
of these
fucking
cases,
loads of these stories.
Yeah.
is my
Yeah,
point.
I was gonna
there's
say, it's like,
there's,
dude, it's
there's
like-
like an underlying thing that is like
yeah,
more of an it multiplies the risk.
yeah,
Like, the smoking with the one guy, and then the girl had
Yeah.
asthma, and the
Yeah.
other guys were getting blood clots, so there's some
you're right.
bad health
Yeah,
history
games
there.
are
Yeah.
played by a lot of people. All
Yeah.
walks of life.
I got a couple things to say. Number one, Blizzard should be investigated. What the fuck, man? WoW, Diablo, StarCraft,
They-
League, which is a spin-off of Warcraft,
Yeah,
Do you
and
not-
Dota, which is also a spin-off of Warcraft.
you're right. It's
you
in the
remember-
DNA. It's
Yeah.
Do you remember when WoW came out originally? There was like reports of like parents neglecting their
Yep.
kids,
Yeah.
and they got picked up by it CPS,
Yeah.
Child
Yeah.
Protective Services. So
I
And
think
it's
it's been
like-
attributed to at least one death. as well.
And then number two is like, which I don't know if Matt had experience with this, but like one of the main symptoms of diabetic ketoacidosis is that your body just does not absorb liquid.
Mm,
So I have experienced like the depths of dehydration.
right. That
And obviously it was required to give me like an IV and like get me, but like I couldn't drink. I think you remember that. Like they were giving me like these-
heavy water.
Well, that
Yeah,
was
this
that was a
is-
different thing.
Yeah.
But they would give you like these sponges that look like lollipops.
Yeah, on the stick.
And you could dip it into
Yeah.
water and then like put it in your mouth, but you weren't allowed to drink.
It's just to hydrate your like lips and mouth.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That sounds like a special kind of hell. Just
It is,
being
and so,
thirsty
like,
and not being allowed to drink.
I always hear, because you hear about like people dying from like deep vein thrombosis, people dying from cardiovascular issues like that, or a heart attack. It's like, okay, those are, or a pulmonary embolism or something like that. Like those kind of come out of nowhere. There are signs, but if you're not informed,
yeah.
but it's like, bro, there are so many signs that you're fucking dehydrated. As somebody who has been like medically dehydrated, I don't know how you can keep playing StarCraft like, and then die
That
of
carried
like,
on that stick.
and then like die of dehydration. Like I don't know. Like
Number
it's
go
one.
up.
It's one thing if you like get lost in the fucking woods or the desert and
Yeah.
die of dehydration because there's no available water. But like, bro, the place you're in has a bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Just go drink out of the sink real
Yeah.
quick and then get back to
I know
StarCraft.
what Sean said about just nerds. It's like, man, that's like you. Yeah, you're like in the middle of like you said, like you're lost in the Pine Barrens or like
Yeah.
in a desert, like or
You're presumably in a business that has running water. Just go get
Yeah.
some of it. And like,
what, nerds are lame? They die in the lamest ways.
yeah,
Yeah.
they certainly can.
Yeah.
Self dehydration.
It's like yeah,
messed up.
you're wandering the Sahara for an oasis is different than just being like, I don't know, the water fountain's over there.
It's like it makes me think of the scene in the
10 feet
is it
away.
Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace when he gives him the oil? That's Quantum of Solace, right?
Oil.
Yeah. When he
that's the end of Quantum. Yes.
yeah, when he
And they
drops
said
that guy in
you'll
the
be
desert.
so desperate that you'll drink anything. And
Yeah.
they later find his body and he
Yep.
had,
You get so thirsty, you'll drink anything liquid.
yeah.
right.
And they
It's
found
like
it in his
that happens before you die.
stomach.
Just drink water.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
I don't know,
Can
man.
you-
Have you played StarCraft?
I have. It's not that good. And StarCraft is an amazing game, but nothing is good enough to
not better than water.
Yeah.
Are we in agreement?
Can you imagine though? A gamer is like wandering through like the fucking Rub al Khali desert or whatever, and he looks
Death
up
Valley.
and he sees like an oasis. He's like, oh, thank God, League of Legends. He just goes plays a video game and just doesn't drink and just doesn't. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
like
an
that.
Oasis, but it's just G Fuel and Monster and a Red Bull fridge.
And he just dies in the desert from
Yeah.
dehydration.
So
Playing too much League.
It may be argued that each one of these is deserving of their own episode, and also that this isn't even all of them, I'm afraid. This last example I wanted to address, though, as it is connected to Wii Fit. Before you think it's all, multiplayer online titles, a goddamn exercise game, in the right circumstances could be just as lethal.
It's true.
Tim Evs, which is why I don't exercise. No, I'm kidding.
That's actually why I don't exercise that much. I do like yoga.
Yeah.
Because like any form of cardio scares me because like
I like cardio. I mostly just think working out is boring, and that's why.
well yeah, but I just
Good
like
podcast, I guess will get you to
it's
do
this
anything.
thing that's like I grew up surrounded by people who worked out the wrong way because there was no internet. Like that's why my dad can't really walk well anymore without a cane.
Right.
And it's just like working out is real good for you if you do it right. And we have the resources now to do it right, but
You're right. That's true. Tim Evs wasn't like these other poor souls. Tim was in great shape, sober, active, inside and outside the gaming space, and yet a jog in place on his Wii balance board was the final moment his close friends and family would see him alive. Within minutes, he dropped, and that was that. Sudden arrhythmia death syndrome, it's called. A heart disorder that stops blood from pumping to your brain. So,
Honestly, these
Fucked.
are all just different names for like stroke and heart attack.
Yeah.
Wait, SIDS is sudden infant death syndrome.
yeah.
So this is SADS. He got
SADS.
a case of the SADS.
There's
man.
the SADS.
He was
Yo.
he was healthy, but he wasn't happy.
Evil Otto strikes again. That dumb face.
Put a smile on your face.
Stay safe, everyone. It's important
Yeah.
to stretch. But moving on from that unpleasantness, condolences to all these fine folks, their families. If only we could say it ceased there and wouldn't happen again, right? That's a script for another day. To touch back on Berzerk, I'm glad to say that its misfortunate stint with Peter didn't ruin its reputation or taint its legacy, as with the rest of, those releases. And the top-down maze shooter is still frequently recognized today. It's often praised for its replayability, humor, difficulty, surrealism, and fun. It's a simple but effective as well as a satisfying run-and-gun coin-op action game.
Now, where can we play it?
Yeah, haven't really run into many of these in the wild,
No.
if ever.
Where is Friar Tux? Where was that located?
Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, where that.
Baphomet City.
Flux Magazine gave it the 55th spot in their top 100. It also was inducted into the GameSpy Hall of Fame, who applauded its innovative digitized speech feature and general sense of personality. The writer who submitted it, William Cassidy, even classified its genre as true sci-fi horror and went on to declare Evil Otto as one of the greatest video game villains of all time.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I think it's got like a kind of feels like kind of a proto showdown.
Yeah, I mean, IGN echoed this too, and honestly, I kind of get it. I mean, Evil Otto killed a man. Can't say that about Bowser or Sephiroth.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it listed in the 1001 games you should play before you die?
Oh, yeah, that's the last one. That's the final page.
Knee slap.
So Boot Hill is in that book, so I know about it.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm sure Berserk is in there too.
Yeah. But in line with this, the Atari versions ranked onto lists. Meanwhile, Berzerk would go on to inspire other pieces of interactive art. Eugene Jarvis's Robotron 2084, id Software's Castle Wolfenstein, not the Wolfenstein 3D. Plus, there was its sequel, Frenzy, that I brought up. That and clones, such as 1981's Thief, no relation to the Looking Glass Eidos joint, and both were made by McNeil, which is funny. So
I was gonna say, so I don't own OG Castle Wolfenstein, but it is very, very similar to how that looks, except it's like you're fighting Nazis and stealing their gold. But it's like the maze layout is very similar, so it doesn't surprise me that is like that has a direct lineage to it.
I guess that does check out.
And Polybius.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of the legend of Polybius. Polybius. I should be able to say that. I did an entire episode about it.
Did.
But yes, I don't know if I actually stated in that like I think that was an amalgamation of a lot of these.
I think you brought up
stories.
Berzerk. In
Okay.
the police
Yeah, it would have
episode.
to
It was a
be.
long time ago.
Yeah.
How
Same year.
associated, yeah.
Cineslursion.
Yeah.
So in 2002, Mike Micah would distribute his own homebrew of it for the 2600 that he previously developed since it was a favorite of his for the console. And it was a good way to teach himself programming. Him and Dennis Debro later disassembled code found in the original build and restored scrapped mechanics from its arcade version and released it as Berzerk Enhanced. The project was so well liked by fans that Atari soon teamed up with them to sell a physical cartridge of it in 2023. That same year, the Pong guys announced that the rights to Stern's library, including Berzerk, was now theirs. The developer Sneaky Box was tasked with retooling a new edition of the shooter with the subname Recharged. This, the OG version, and the ports were added as DLC for the Atari 50 collection.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, an upgrade I need to get. Because, God, that fucking compilation, that whole package rules so hard. You heard me say it on here already. Number 5 on our best of 2022. As of this recording, Stern continues to live on with their successful array of popular pinball tables. Most recently, they did the Foo Fighters one, the John Wick one, each of the James Bond ones that are awesome. I got to play the 2 of those when we went to that place in north of Philly. I forget. It's near where the behemoth, or not the behemoth, the Newgrounds.
Yeah.
This is going to be insensitive, but in the Foo Fighters pinball game is a bonus level when your drummer dies and you have to find a new one.
No, but there is a stage where you have to cheat on your wife.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you have a baby, and a different colored ball comes out, and you got to play with both of them, but you get separate scores. You know what I mean?
God damn it.
Rest in peace to Taylor
I
Hawkins.
totally
He
forgot.
was an incredible
I
fucking
totally
drummer.
forgot about that.
Mhm.
I do miss him. Regrettably for us and you listeners out there,
They've grown. Sorry.
of all the things that rock stars have done, that's not that bad.
No.
Yeah.
Just that's what I'm saying. He's such a likable guy. And
I
then
know.
you just go,
Yeah, I
"Oh,
know.
come
It's a
on."
shame. But we are going to close on a rather somber note. The trajectory of Alan McNeil, our beloved creator.
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
what was his take on all this?
So firstly, he didn't have the nicest things to say about his tenure at Stern Electronics. Promptly quitting the company, this
you don't say.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a lot of aggression that went into this this game too.
This after a stressful period where he had to manage over a team of 8 programmers. Then what happens? He got
goes
called
for
into
flying.
he got called into a meeting to be grilled about missing items from around the building that were reported as stolen. Basically, they tried to blame him as the culprit with zero proof, and he was like, "Fuck off!"
Yeah.
Like office supplies.
So
Wow. I was
weird.
going to say it's like, hey, there was some trash on this table last night, and when
Yeah.
I came in this morning, it was missing. It's like maybe the janitor threw it away.
Yeah. No, it's clearly him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So second,
You made one of the best arcade co-op video games of all time,
Yeah.
but we're short a couple pencils, so like
Yeah.
I'm just
we
imagining.
paid 10 cents for each of those.
Yeah.
I'm
so-
probably not wrong in this, but I'm imagining he has long hair, and then somebody
Oh,
comes to
that's
him
for sure.
about like a stapler, and then he's got it like hidden in his hair, and it's like, do you know anything about a stapler?
What are you accusing me of? And it's
What
all
are you-
sticking out of his pockets.
What,
Just pills.
what do I look like? And it's just like crudely has hair wrapped around it in his head.
There was a fresh urinal cake in that urinal cake
And
last
he
night.
starts talking, and his mouth's blue.
Are you the urinal cake thief? Okay.
No idea what you're talking about.
Stop drawing smiley faces on all the yellow legal pads. We need those.
Second, upon asking for a raise, this past like raking in the dollars from Berzerk, he was instantly rejected. Instead, the ungrateful, demeaning boss replied, "The designer of Space Invaders had merely gotten a watch and liked it. You should do the same."
Ooh,
Nice.
And like, man, what an asshole.
I'd quit.
Yeah, and so how about give them both a raise? Huh?
Yeah.
Because he never saw much of the fortune from his hit title,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the rights got sold for $4.5 million.
and he got nothing.
And he's
Jack
over here
squat.
stealing office supplies.
yeah.
I mean, not confirmed.
Yeah, he was just stealing toilet paper because he couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just sad. He did at least stay long enough to finish Frenzy before bouncing out of there, since like he didn't wish to leave anybody hanging. But yeah, I get it. You're not being respected, so screw 'em.
Could you imagine if that's how somebody died from the game?
Right.
They hung themselves.
As I stated, his gaming repertoire didn't end there. Although following the completion of Maze Wars Plus and Wacky Jacks, he did leave the profession, forever to pursue a career in animation. Very
Good for
cool.
him. Wow, very cool.
So that he left that field for an cool field for another. However, the curse of Berzerk did eventually catch up to him, and on December 29th, 2017, he died of a heart attack.
God damn
At
it.
age 66 during a blizzard.
Did he get to put his initials in first?
It's crazy. A
Yeah.
heart attack
Yeah, I mean,
in a blizzard.
there's a ton of heart-related issues
I know.
with Americans.
Yeah.
So
66 isn't that old, though. I mean, maybe for the time. I don't know if he was.
No, I would say no. I would say
66,
I would say-
you say?
Yeah.
I would say it is.
Did he die at 6 o'clock?
Yeah, that's 2/3 the number of the beast.
Did he have to take a ride on Route 66 to the River Styx? There's too many overlapping themes.
But Rip Allen, you seem like a real G.
Yeah, rest in piss, dude.
He was no.
No, wait.
He's one of the good ones.
No.
And he was a devoted family man, an accomplished pianist, and had heavily dedicated his
You're only reinforcing my rest in piss joke.
his older years to protecting nature reserves in North New York.
God.
So,
Good dude.
yeah,
Only the good
for
die
real,
young.
pour one out.
Yeah.
So what did we learn? And sorry, I know this was a bit of an odd duck. Just like Berzerk, there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. Hopefully I was able to keep our narrative straightforward-ish, but every path I took only kept spiraling into more disparate concepts and rabbit holes. I think I can sum it up with confirmed kills aside, Berzerk is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Get your heart checked. Don't take what kids are saying on the playground as gospel. Getting into a fight over a quarter is never worth it.
Yeah, I think that is a very big headline here. Do
yeah.
not fight over.
If
an
you
arcade
fail
cabinet.
that, stay away from the Marion Penitentiary.
I mean,
man, that
quarters
Yeah.
are so worthless now that they just fight with them. You just flick them at each other.
Also taking fucking breaks from your gaming sessions.
Yeah,
every
drink
now and then.
water.
Yeah, drink
Hydrate.
water. You people are getting fucking ridiculous out there.
Take care of your children.
Yeah.
They're more important than video games.
I get antsy after 90 minutes
Pump
to
the brakes.
2 hours tops.
And
Like,
also,
I have a wireless headset because I can't
the
stop
final
pacing.
lesson, never be in shape because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Half the people you said were out of shape, half of them were in shape.
Yeah. Makes no difference.
We're only on this world till the world decides it doesn't want us anymore.
Yeah,
So
that's
just,
it. Yeah.
you do you.
Yeah. If you're playing World of Tanks, it's the same as we fit.
Yeah.
So, and and lastly, like I said, rest in peace to Alan McNeil, and watch out for that lurking murderous menace and his big yellow smiling face, Evil Otto.
Is that code for your heart?
Yeah, if you see him looming over your shoulder or out of the corner of your eye, you run.
Yeah, no.
You run and you don't look back.
Yo, he's like that cat that can sense when the patients are about to
Yeah,
die.
yeah,
He's like
I've
he's
read
a
about that.
harbinger of death.
Yeah, of doom.
Yeah.
So happy Halloween. With that, we did it.
I think think you wanted to shout out to the
Yes, I'm gonna get in my sources here.
Yeah.
So the season has concluded, and before we know it, it'll be time for a recap and game of the year. I've got a couple other surprises in the chamber too, if you're more into the classic style hot button content. There's still, 2 entirely written scripts that we had to delay so we could get to the spookier episodes in front for the month. I got this one done by the skin of my teeth. So yeah, let me shout out them sources right quick, and then we'll get to the plugs and call it a day. Thank you all for returning to the studio so soon. This was a joy to record. I learned a lot while researching this.
Yeah.
Much in part to Kat Despera on her Retro Bitch page. First and foremost, go check it out. Also, gravel.org and the Norfolk Preservation Association. Then more traditionally, we have Moby Games, Retro Gamer, GameSpy. Then it gets unconventional again. Tom Hirschfield's book, How to Master Video Games, the Indianapolis Star, Old School Gamer Magazine. That's such a stupid name. Playmeter, Atari Age, Cashbox, the Honolulu Star Bulletin, Electronic Games. Again, it's so generic. Like Joystick, The Death of a Gamer piece by Stephen Kilsing at Pumpkin Press Inc., the Idaho Statesman, Eurogamer, Flux, the Albuquerque Tribune, the Greenwood Press, Vintage Games at Focal Press, Edge, PC Mag, Mike Micah's The Battles of Berzerk article, and interview for Atari 50, Retro Roundup, and thegamer.com. It's so weird having to build a list for this that doesn't include IGN, GameSpot, or Kotaku. Like, I guess it's different with the retro stories, but like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Plugs.
Bugs.
Thank you for listening. You can listen to our Polybius episode, another Halloween one, very similar.
Yep.
Kind of deal, but more tinfoil hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all the ones he mentioned coming up, they'll be on hotbuttoncast.com. And if you want to be tuned in to when our episodes release, including our recap and our game of the year, among other things, you can follow our socials, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at HotButtonCast.
Yeah. And please end this with Berserker, like Sean said. It's just been in my head.
Is that an actual song? Or is it just a clip from the movie?
That's actually good. I don't know.
I think
Either way, he made it a song. What is music?
I'm just trying to figure out if it's long enough to end the episode.
I think it is.
we'll loop it.
An extended version.
All right. Good night.